you. Delhi. Old Delhi or New Delhi? Doesn't matter. Old or new. New also gets old. And old is getting new. I live there. Watch out, New Delhi. We are going to conquer you. You thought you drove out the white men and can now live in peace. Fools. Because you did not drive out the coconuts, the white men with brown skin. We are that tribe. We will take over. By way of warning, I told a New Delhi friend, we coconuts are going to take over your city. And he said, who are you? They are already ruling it. Delhi, Delhi, my dear sweet sour Delhi. Welcome to my boring show. I'm going to bore deep. It's going to be a real boring show. Nari Shakti. Nari Shakti. How many times did you hear this oxymoron during the recent brouhaha on the 33% women reservation bill? The tsunami in a teacup? Prime Minister Narendra Modi said it 1 million times. Other BJP leaders 1 billion times. Could be trillion. Look, all serious students of Indian politics know it, but ordinary guys don't get it. For the BJP, Nari is a Devi, a goddess. Nar is a Bhakta, a devotee. The goddess and devotee have a very unique kind of relationship. A very, very special relationship. In the normal goddess-devotee relationship, it is the goddess who guides the devotee how to conduct his life. But in the BJP's Nar-Nari relationship, it is the Nar who guides the Nari how to conduct her life. How much cloth to wear, what should be indoors, what should be outdoors, where to go, who to meet, what time to return to the temple, who to fall in love with, and the most important thing, who to marry, a monster from your own religion or from another one. Because I agree with BJP pundits, marriage is no joke. It's a serious thing. It's not a one-night stand. You get in, get out, get up, and get going. One to the North Pole, another to Antarctica. A marriage binds you in chains. If you run your fingers around your body, you feel there is no iron, steel, or lock, but you can't freely move about because your hands are cuffed. Your feet are shackled. You're not free to do what you like. Only your captor is free to do what he likes. That's what Modi is worried about. BJP is worried about. RSS is worried about. That's what robs them of sleep, particularly of RSS leaders. Very few people realize it. But RSS leaders are amazing people because they have a combination of two great virtues, patriotism and insomnia.
You can find people with patriotism and people with insomnia, but it is rare to find people who have both. You can call RSS leaders patriotic insomniacs or insomniac patriots. Same thing, two sides of the same coin.
And I tell you, our patriots have not become insomniacs for any silly reason. I mean, they're not seeing spirits, they're not seeing ghosts. They are seeing demons. Demons in every town and village of India. Millions of them. Demons who are stalking Naris. Demons who can disguise themselves as a charming avatar. Imagine a Nari meeting a demon at a party. He grins and grins. His grinning teeth look so beautiful to her, the Nari starts thinking, even if I can't marry him, I can marry his teeth. No, Nari, no. No. Cry out a patriotic insomniac in chorus. The teeth may look charming to you on the wedding night, but on the morning after, you will find they are jaws. And these jaws would not be singing bhajans with you in the morning. They would be singing qawwalis. But you are in such a trance, you would think they are singing bhajans. Just as you would not know when they take you out for dinner that evening, that you're not sitting in a restaurant but on a plane. That waiters are serving you Mediterranean food, not air hostesses. And you would not know when you land in Arabia. And are driven straight from the airport to meet Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, I ask, you know I recently joined the BJP because that is the safest place for doing unsafe things. Since I came from a secular party, they have given me a mentor to cure my sick brain. But the sickness takes time to go. So I asked my mentor, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, you mean the ISIS leader? My mentor says in a cool tone, yes. But did not he blow himself off in a tunnel when the Americans were chasing him?
No, that was his double. All jihadi masterminds have doubles. They never die. They're double dice. I ask, do you mean Osama bin Laden is still alive? My mentor says yes.
And what about Abu Ayyub al-Masri, Yahya al-Libi, Abu Asab al-Chanob Basef, Adi Yar Shakau, Abu Imar al-Baghdau, Abu Muslim al-Turkmami? Are they all alive too? They are all alive, says my mentor. Even Ghazni, Tughlaq, Babur, Aurangzeb, all are alive. I'm like, bullshit. They are all dust in grave. They never went into grave, says my mentor. Their doubles went into grave. They are still roaming around. Do you think BJP and RSS are morons chasing them all around the country? I say, if they are alive, they must be a kind of UFOs or avatars. Because nobody has seen them except you. He says in a confessional tone, even I have not seen them. I say, sir, RSS have more workers than the population of India. And they carry lathis. None of them ever hit upon a Ghazni or Aurangzeb. What use is the lathi? For show?
He says the jihadi masterminds are rogues. They exist in spirit form. You can't see them. Imagine a chainsaw is cutting a tree, but you can't see the hand working it. It is invisible. They are like that. They hide in people's brain. You know who I am talking about.
I say, how would you flush them out of their brain? You would need really good neurosurgeons to do it with precision. What about Vishwa Gurus of neurosurgery from Nagpur, the fatherland of science?
He says, we have no good neurosurgeons, not even in fatherland. But what do masterminds think? We will give up? No. We have no ability to pull you out of the brain. But we have ability to choke you there. We won't let you come out of the brain. Remain there, degenerate and die. You think the brain is your bag. We will make it your dargah.
I ask who's going to choke them in the brain? He says, women. Nari Shakti. I say, I get it. The women reservation bill, that's why you wanted to get it passed by parliament. He said, did you not see how eager Modi was to get it passed? More eager than women. Whatever the chronic secularists might say, Modi loves women. He may not like women, but he loves women. I say, why was Modi so eager to make them more powerful? I say, like female wrestlers like Vinesh Phogat, Sakshi Malik? Yes. So they could choke the jihadi masterminds in the brain? Yes. But why pass a law for this? Female wrestlers are overpowerful already. A whole nation was shocked to know how they were chasing Wrestling Federation chief Brij Hushan Singh. He was running and running and running, trying to hide because they had groped his hair and now wanted to grope his mustache.
My mentor said that's not the only case of women empowerment. We empowered the rape victim in Sandesh Khali in Bengal. We gave her a Lok Sabha ticket. Our party has made it a policy to empower rape victims in opposition ruled states.
I said, I think in states where you rule, you've gone a step further. You have made a policy to empower even dead rape victims. For instance, in Hathras UP, you do not allow her family to come there. Why is family needed at cremation? Your policemen cremate her. Where in the world do women get so much honor, respect and dignity except Bharat? Where do women get so empowered even after death? Police in uniform poking wood, stoking the fire in your pyre so you burn quickly.
My mentor says examples of BJP empowering women are legion. Remember Sabrimala Ayappa temple in Kerala? For 900 years, women of menstruating age enjoyed the privilege of never stepping into the temple. Lord Ayappa could come into their dreams, but they would never go to Ayappa. That was their power. The opposition parties conspired to disempower them. They were forcing them to enter the temple.
It was the BJP that foiled their conspiracy to disempower millions of women. Now, I came from a secular party. And sickness takes time to go. I still carried the Sikh view on the Sabrimala issue. I said, women of menstruating age should go to the temple like all of us. I mean, that would be their true empowerment, no?
My mentor says, no, never. I ask him why. He says menstruation pollutes them. I say menstruation does not pollute a woman, it cleanses her. He stares at me with suspicious eyes.
My mentor sees a global conspiracy. He says, you got money from some Christian missionary to sell that myth?
I say it's not myth, it is science. You are a celibate. Out of the 5 senses, you have only used 2, sight and hearing. No touch, taste or smell. So you do not know much about women. If I ever happen to meet Mohan Bhagwat and told him, open RSS doors to women as wide as possible, so the nationalists can know the other half of the nation better. Right now, they know only one half of the nation. They have seen only the crescent, not the full moon.
My mentor says, okay, show me the full moon. I ask him, answer me, can a woman make a baby alone? But your father also played a role. For you to come into this world and to be talking to me here, or I would have been talking to a piece of rock.
Close your eyes and imagine. 500 freshly plucked flowers are drifting in a sea. Only one flower has nectar. 500 bees are hovering over them. They are making confused movements because they don't know which one of the flowers has nectar. Suppose they fail to find that flower. Well, the game is over for the day because the flowers have wilted and are swept away by the current. Now that is menstruation. He asks, what happens when a bee is able to identify the flower with the nectar? I say he starts sucking the nectar
But then an astonishing thing happens, as in science fiction movies. Two creatures collide. Whoosh! There are mild explosions. And then you are thrilled to see an entirely new creature slowly edging out of the rubble bow. Who is this? Sir, did it look like this on the first day in your mom's womb? No, he says. I say you did. Everybody who is sitting in this theater did. They did not come out of outer space. They came from the ocean of love. They all came, sir. You are forgetting. I know for you it is not medical Alzheimer. It is political Alzheimer. I stared at my mentor. He was silent. But I could see it. His mouth was not working, but his mind was working. He had to prove that the ban on entry of women of menstruating age to the Sabrimala temple was right. He was thinking and thinking. And then he made a sudden charge at me, like a soldier whose head I had just cut off. The headless trunk rose to attack me with the sword.
Do you believe in science? He asked me. I said, of course I do. What I told you was science, pure science. He said, what about pure science of India? Do you also believe in it?
I said, as long as it is pure science. He said, okay, the pure science of India says that if a menstruating woman touches a jar of pickles, it loses its sour taste. I said, bullshit. I recently stayed for a month at a young woman's place. She cooked lunches and dinners for me. She always gave me my favorite mango pickles from a jar. The pickles never tasted sweet. My mentor saw he lost even the second round. He engaged me in a third round. He said, okay, you don't believe in Indian science, but at least you believe in Indian tradition.
Now that is an outswinger, I tell myself. I better keep my bat indoors, as my friend Abdullah keeps his wife. I'm not playing, sir. I just pretended to be playing.
I said, I believe in Indian tradition, but I also believe in Indian modernity. He said, how can you believe in both tradition and modernity? Either you believe in tradition or you believe in modernity. Say honestly what you believe in, tradition or modernity. This was a Yorker. I airlifted in Dhoni style, ball out of stadium. I said modernity, he went where the ball went. What do you mean modernity? He shouted from outside the stadium. Does tradition not count? I know what you are getting at, I said. Since Sabrimala has the old tradition of denying entry to menstruating women, the denial must continue. You are wrong. Modernity must prevail. Tradition believes in gender equality. Modernity believes in gender equality. Modernity must rule.
He said, I don't think you are fit for BJP. The BJP believes in tradition. It will do anything to protect and preserve tradition.
I said, talak, talak, talak. Muslim men said it 3 times and married a new girl, auntie or grandma. Now that was a tradition, an old tradition. Did you protect and preserve that tradition?
He said, Muslim women were crying for equality. Now that was a loose ball. The bowler had lost his nerve. I airlifted the ball to the BJP fatherland Nagpur. I said, open your left eye too. Hindu women are also crying for equality. He said, no. That is Hindu tradition.
I cried out, tradition for Hindu women, but modernity for Muslim women? What kind of half India you want? Half traditional, half modern? A car with truck tire in front and cycle tires at back? My mentor said, I am a follower of Modi. Whatever the kind of half India he wants, I also want. His vision for half India is very clear. He said it in his address to the nation on the Women Reservation Bill. Society progresses when women progress. I said sarcastically, so that is the great Modi vision. Muslim women go forward, Hindu women go backward.
He got angry. You're trying to create communal disharmony. Do you know the BJP does not allow anyone else to create communal disharmony? It is their monopoly. Don't you know?
My arrogance bursts like a soap bubble. I plead for mercy. Trust me, I am not fishing in that area. I am not a fool. I know the repercussions. 1 adventure and 5 years. 5 years no less. It may take my wife to find out which jail you have sent me to. You've been kind enough not to send anyone outside India, to say New York. But if I am too adventurous, Modi might ask Buddy Trump to send a plane. He would say to him, you took Nicolas Maduro, take him too, have more benches, we may send more.
Did you hear? Society progresses when women progress. Society progresses when women progress. That's what Modi says.
I came from a secular party. Sickness takes time to go, it seized me again. So I became openly critical of the Prabhu avatar of our times again.
I said, does Modi even believe in what he says? What is this crap? Wasn't society progressing when men were progressing? Wasn't society progressing when he was progressing for 12 years?
Why did he suddenly have a dream one night of giving the parliament obesity? What were for him to gain from that obesity? 3 years before he files his nomination again.
With Advani and Joshi on forced sannyas watching it from their huts in BJP ashram, transcending surge of emotions. No complaints from this life. No, Narendra Bhai, no. My mentor said Modi wanted to do it to give women dignity. The opposition parties did not allow him. That is an insult to women. The women will not forgive them. Narendra Bhai has warned them. Remember, women can forget everything but an insult.
Now, I said. There is at least one thing on which I and the Prime Minister of India are on the same wavelength. Women can forget everything but insult.
How right you are, Narendra Bhai. You are a true Bhai. You alone understand the sisters' feelings. Women cannot forget insult. Have the young women enjoying a party forgotten being assaulted in a pub in Bangalore? 2 girls had to be hospitalized. And the leader of the Hindu group that had beaten them up said, girls should not go to pubs. But our boys have done a good job. Can sisters forget that, Bhai?
No, nah.
Last week, the Union Ministry of Youth Affairs organized an event called Nari Shakti Viksit Bharat Ki Awaaz at a college in Delhi University. The minister was the chief guest. The ministry officials selected a girl student named Sara Sharma to felicitate the minister. But at the last moment, they stopped her from going up to the stage because she was wearing a sleeveless kurta.
They told her it might offend the minister. The event was Nari Shakti Viksit Bharat Ki Awaaz. Will Sara ever forget the insult?
No!
Narendra Bhai knows. A true Bhai knows. It happened in Varanasi, his constituency. Banaras Hindu University. Girl students are sexually harassed on the campus. They gather to protest. Gundas pounce on them, molest them. Police and proctor watch. Will the girls forget the insult?
No, nah.
A 17-year-old girl approaches BJP MLA Kuldeep Sengar in Unnao, UP for a job. His men abduct and confine her. He rapes her for days. Will the girl ever forget the insult?
No!
In Gujarat riots 2002, Bilkis Bano, a pregnant woman, is gang raped. She can't get justice in Gujarat. She goes to a Mumbai special court. The court convicts 11 accused for life in 2008. In 2022, the Gujarat government grants them remission and releases them on grounds of good behavior. Can Bilkis Bano ever forget that triple insult? The insult after insult after insult?
No, never! No, never!
Bhai is right. He is always right. Nobody should forget that women can forget everything but insult. My dear Delhi, you should also not forget. Might is not right. Right is might. Thank you.